You know when you walk down the drink aisle, it's just dizzying. You've got all these different bottled waters, and they're all claiming to be more hydrating, more energizing, more, well, everything. But is any of that for real, or is it just clever marketing?
Yeah, we're talking about alkaline water, oxygenated water, all these mineral-enhanced waters. So the real question is, are any of them actually worth paying extra for? Let's jump in and see what the science has to say.
All right, first things first. Let's tackle that huge wall of claims you see on the bottles, the ones aimed at all of us. So let's start with a really simple, but honestly a super important question. For the average person out there who's generally healthy, what does the science actually say about all these fancy waters? So, what does the evidence tell us? Well, our first piece of evidence is a big one. It's a major systematic review that pulled together the results from a whole bunch of different studies to get a clear picture. Okay, so this huge 2022 review, well, the findings are pretty darn clear. They looked at alkaline and oxygenated water and compared them to just plain old standard mineral water. They measured everything: gut health, blood work, even fitness levels. And the conclusion? For healthy folks, these specialty waters just didn't show any meaningful extra benefits. And look, the researchers didn't mince words. They stated it very plainly, saying that recent evidence just doesn't prove any extra health effects. So, bottom line, for your everyday hydration needs, regular mineral water is perfectly fine. So you might be thinking, all right, case closed, right? Well, not so fast. This is where the story gets really interesting. What happens if you're not just drinking water to quench your thirst? What if you're dealing with something specific, something really uncomfortable, like frequent heartburn? And this brings us to a really fascinating twist in our story, a super rigorous clinical trial that focused only on people who suffer from heartburn. This was the Stomach Still trial, and it's what we call a double-blind, placebo-controlled study, basically the gold standard in medical research. The setup was super straightforward. One group drank a special bicarbonate-rich mineral water, and the other group, the control group, just drank conventional mineral water. And the results? Whoa, they were really striking. After just 6 weeks, a massive 84.7%, almost 85% of the people drinking that bicarbonate-rich water said they felt significant relief from their heartburn. And this chart, it just lays it all out so clearly. You can see the huge bar for the bicarbonate-rich water group at nearly 85%. Now, the placebo group also saw an improvement. That's pretty common. It's called the placebo effect, but it was much lower, at about 63%. That gap between them, that's a big deal, both statistically and in the real world. So just how big of a deal is it? Well, in medicine, there's this great little metric to figure that out. It's called the number needed to treat, or NNT. And for this study, the NNT came out to be 5. Okay, so what in the world does an NNT of 5 even mean? It's actually pretty simple. It means you only have to treat 5 people with the bicarbonate-rich water to get one extra person feeling better than if they had just been drinking the regular water. Trust me, in the medical world, that is considered a really effective treatment. So the results are undeniable. A specific kind of water helped a specific group of people, which of course leads to the next massive question. How on earth could plain old water be doing this? So how could this possibly work? Well, the science points to one specific culprit inside our bodies that this water targets. And that culprit is an enzyme called pepsin. Think of pepsin as the villain in our heartburn story. It's a digestive enzyme, and it's great when it stays in the stomach. But when it splashes up into your esophagus, that's when it causes all that painful damage. And here's the key. It needs acid to wake up and start causing trouble. So here's the 1-2-3 punch. First, the high pH water, the alkaline water, neutralizes the acid. That's step 1. Step 2, since pepsin needs that acid to get going, you've essentially taken away its power source. And then step 3, and this is the real killer blow. Without the acid, pepsin is permanently shut down. It's not just asleep, it's out for the count. And this isn't just some wild theory. We've got lab studies to back it up. They found that water with a pH of 8.8 can instantly and permanently take out human pepsin. It basically dismantles the enzyme so it can't cause any more harm. Okay, so we've looked at the signs from a couple of different angles. What's the final takeaway here? Let's just break it down with this table. For general everyday hydration, if you're a healthy person, those fancy alkaline or oxygenated waters, no proven benefit over good old mineral water. But if you suffer from frequent heartburn, a bicarbonate-rich water has been shown in a clinical trial to really help. Oh, and as a quick side note, That first big study did warn people to maybe avoid drinking demineralized water long-term because you might lose out on some nutrients. So, here's the bottom line, the most important point of all of this. The value of any of these special waters isn't about the water itself, it's about the person drinking it and what they need. For most of us, the hype is just hype, but for some people, it could actually be a game changer.
And that leaves us with something really interesting to think about, right? We came into this looking for hype, but what we found was nuance. It makes you wonder, could the simplest drink on the planet, water, actually be a highly specific tool for a really complex medical problem? It seems the answer isn't so simple after all.